Now, guys, I've seen a lot of things on Twitter the last couple days that are shocking and disturbing, and frankly, it's been kind of hard to watch. See, people are talking about illegal immigration, and the last time somebody talked like this, it was the 1930s and 1940s, and he was talking about immigrants from different countries, and it led to a lot of death and suffering. And I'd like to read you a quote from somebody from the 1930s who talked about what happened, and he said, "First they came for the cartel members, and I didn't care because I wasn't a cartel member. Then they came for the human smugglers, and I didn't care because I wasn't a human smuggler. Then they came for people who were committing social security fraud, and no one stood up for me. So I got deported back to the Dominican Republic." And I think that that is a lesson that we should all internalize. If the police go after one type of criminality, where will it end? It'll end with all criminals in jail or removed from your country. So the lack of just like historical understanding about where opposition to immigration comes from, particularly opposition to illegal immigration, I think it just reflects how bad the education system is in red states and how historically illiterate Americans are compared to the rest of the world. So I'm here to talk to you guys about the real history of illegal immigration. Now, liberals have correctly been saying that if you support a border wall or you're against unlimited illegal immigration, you're a Nazi. And they are correct because the truth of the matter is no one prior to Adolf Hitler opposed immigration. He codified it in Mein Kampf. It said illegal immigration is bad. We can't allow illegal immigrants. And before that, no one in human history had ever held that position before. And so when these people are saying these things, they are confessing that they are actually neo Nazis, that they are national socialists, as they are embracing this morally bankrupt ideology that left during the 1930s. So let's kind of go back and let's look at history. So the Bronze Age was a time period of immense economic and social prosperity throughout the world. And this was fueled by tons and tons of immigration. Now, what wound up happening is there was a group of people who were coming through the Mediterranean called the Sea Peoples, and they wanted to immigrate. They were seeking a better life, and they tried to close the borders and they tried to deny them citizenship and social security and stuff like that. And that triggered the Bronze Age collapse. It was triggered because you had people who were saying, "We're full. We can't bring in any more immigrants." And because they said that, civilization collapsed. So that's number one. Then you have Greece, and everyone likes to talk about the achievements of Greece. So how the Greeks achieved what they did was citizenship in a Greek republic was open to everyone. In particular, they would send triremes down to like Sudan and pick up a bunch of Africans and bring them back to like Athens or Sparta or Thebes or wherever. And then they would come and they would bring prosperity within them. And I've seen some neo Nazis who have tried to argue that all these philosophers were like ethnic Greeks or something, but they were from Sudan, they were from Egypt, they were from Mauritania. They were all immigrants. The Greeks were incredibly welcoming of immigration, and when they started to turn their back on it, and they said, "No, Macedon, you can't immigrate here." They were rightfully destroyed, and then Alexander said the Persian Empire has to open its borders because the Persian Empire had closed its borders and said we don't want more Greeks moving here because they're subversives. And so Alexander came in, and the Persians, who are this culturally intolerant group of people, they wanted a mono ethnic empire. And that is why the Achaemenid Empire collapsed because it was racist against minorities, it didn't accept minority religions. And it didn't embrace the fact that diversity was their strength. So it collapsed. And of course, you have Rome. And Roman identity was based on the idea that anybody in the world could move to Rome, become a Roman citizen, and contribute to the glory of the state. And so Roman citizenship was really open. It didn't have a lot of rights and responsibilities with it. It was very easy to get. So people would move to Rome, and then the Roman Empire or Roman Republic would go to different tribes, and they'd be like, "Look, you're backward. We're bringing the civilizing mission. You need to start accepting more immigrants, especially from Africa." And they said no, so Rome invaded them. And you know why the Roman Empire fell? Because it turned its back on immigration, specifically illegal immigration. The Goths and Huns were like, we want to come in here and take over. And they're like, no, you're going to take our jobs. You're going to take our jobs. You're going to put slaves out of work. We're going to build a border wall. We're going to build the limes in on the Danube and on the Rhine, and we're going to build Hadrian's Wall. And they built the wall. And you know what happened? Rome collapsed because they built the wall and because they said no to illegal immigration. Likewise, you have the Sassanids and the Byzantines, and they both collapsed because of their refusal to embrace immigration from the Middle East and Central Asia. I mean, we could just go through example after example of these countries that refused to accept immigration and collapse as a result. But despite all that, where the history of opposing immigration really begins is with Adolf Hitler. You see, at the time, Germany had a big problem with immigrants, particularly from like Latin America, but also from Indonesia and Sub-Saharan Africa and the Philippines. And Germany had a whole bunch of illegal immigrants. They were sneaking in on ships. They were crossing the French border. And Hitler was like, look, we need to build a border wall with France. We need to build a border wall with Czechoslovakia because the illegal immigrants are getting across it. And he's like, so he ran on a platform of building the wall, of building the border wall and stopping illegal immigration. And the German people supported him. And by virtue of being elected on a platform that was supported by a majority of the population, it officially ended democracy. And immediately after he took power, Hitler announced that he was going to expel every single immigrant in Germany. And there was a lot of immigrants in Germany. There was about like 30 or 40 million immigrants in Germany at that time period, more than half of the population. And so Hitler kicked them out. But he's like, you know what? It's not enough to deport the Jewish immigrants to Germany. We're gonna have to deal with them. And we started hearing rhetoric that they were criminals, that they were bad, that they were subverting German culture and stuff like that. And so they were just killed, and 20 million of them died. And I've also been seeing people on Twitter saying it wasn't 20 million, and they got to stop that. Um, but the important thing is no one like before or after Hitler has taken the position that immigration is bad. It's a completely new idea, and people just don't really understand the history of this. Um, so when you have these conservatives in America who say we don't support illegal immigration, what they're saying is I love Hitler, because Nazism is the only religion, ideology, culture in human history to say that like we don't support illegal immigration or we need to have a border. The concept of the border was invented by Adolf Hitler. A lot of people don't get this. Borders didn't exist in the ancient world. Borders didn't exist in East Asia and Africa and stuff like that. The Aztec Empire didn't have borders. Um, these were all things that were invented by Adolf Hitler in the 1930s. And you know what else Hitler did? He killed 40. He deported 40 million illegal immigrants from Germany and killed 20 million Jews. And we're seeing this today with the Islamo Nazis, the Islamo fascists that are Hamas. Because they said, look, we don't want Jewish immigrants. And you know what happened because they opposed Jewish immigrants? Now they're living in a UN sponsored ghetto death cult. And it serves them right. If only they had said, here, Holocaust survivors, all 20 million of you can settle here in Judea and you can take as much land as you want because we know you will contribute to our GDP growth rate. And they didn't say that. And they said, no, we love Hitler. We don't want you guys to come here and steal our shit. And they were selfish. They were Nazis. They were actually run by Hitler. A lot of people don't get this, that the Palestinians were controlled by the Nazi remnants. A lot of people think the Nazi remnants went to Latin America. They actually went to the Middle East and controlled the Arabs, and they created this like anti-Zionist movement because like Hitler didn't want the Jews to move to Germany, and the Arabs didn't want the Jews to move to their country either. So you see, there's this connection here, and you just have all these ignorant conservatives who are like, look, why can't we secure the border? Why can't we stop the cartel members from coming over? Like, why are we allowing like these people to come into our country and give our children drugs? And like they don't get it. It's because of prohibition that these things happen. It's because like they're attempting to enforce a border that there's negative consequences of not having a border. And I know a lot of people just aren't smart enough to understand this, but the suffering that's caused by there being this wall that tells the cartel members who kidnap people and behead them that they aren't welcome and they don't feel welcome, and then they go into America and they just do stuff. And like the best way to stop social security fraud is just to give everybody a social security number. Everybody. If we give every human on earth a social security number, then social security fraud cannot happen. And that includes people in other countries, that includes people like in Indonesia and stuff. And I got another idea. If we get everybody on earth to immigrate to America, there can be no illegal immigration. There can be no immigration, period, because by definition. So maybe this is like the new neocon project. Like I'm dropping red pills here, where we're going to just invade every country on earth, create the pan world American Union, and then there won't be any more illegal immigration. There won't be any more immigration. There won't be any more fraud because everybody will be under the control of the IRS. And I think that's a world that's worth dreaming about. I think that's a world that's worth pursuing, and just like don't listen to these bigots who say that like being anti-immigration is like an issue that's happened in America since the founding, that it comes up every 20 to 30 years, that the Democrats ran on this platform like many times during the 20th century. These things are all like it's all neo-Nazis. If you see somebody who says I don't think we should allow cartel members to cross into Texas, that man has a swastika. That man is a member of the SS. So just watch out. That is the real history that is not taught properly in schools in red states. And it's because Americans are the most disgusting, ignorant, selfish, arrogant people on earth. And they deserve whatever it is they get for trying to turn these people away. And in fact, I hope that the immigrants pour in and they destroy America's culture and they destroy America as a country and they turn it into a third world cesspit, because that's what America deserves for opposing illegal immigration. It deserves to have a third world people come in and rape and destroy it. So I hope these truth bombs got dropped. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. God bless.